Hi everyone, welcome to Gramophone Music Studio YouTube channel. In this video, we will give a walkthrough on the ABRSM Grade 1 oral test, including the type of questions, answering tips for candidates, as well as teaching hints for teachers. We have a lot of exam-related videos on our channel, and it is highly recommended for you to check them out. Click the link in the right corner to view them, or you can find them in the description below. First of all, what is oral test? It is a listening test that involves clapping, singing, and answering questions. The oral test is only required in the practical exam, which is face-to-face exam. The allocated marks would be 18 marks out of 150. The entire test will be played on the piano regardless of the candidate's instruments for the exam. Now let's have a glance at the contents of the oral test. For grade 1 to 3, the test will be the same with increasing difficulty according to grades. Test A will be on pulse and meter, Test B on singing echoes, Test C to listen on the differences, and Test D on the musical features. Now I will talk in details about each test. Test 1A will be on pulse and meter. The instructions from the examiner will be: first, clap in time while I play, join in as soon as you can and give a louder clap on the strong beats. Then examiner plays the entire piece. Is it in 2 time or 3 time? Candidate will have to clap the pulse of a piece of music and give a louder clap on the strong beat, which is the first beat of the music. And then identify if it is 2 time or 3 time. Here is the example of test 1A.
First, clap in time while I play. Join in as soon as you can and give a louder clap on the strong beats. Is it in 2 time or 3 time?
The answer will be either in 2 or in 3. Candidates do not need to state the time signature. Now I will play it again together with the correct response.
First, clap in time while I play. Join in as soon as you can and give a louder clap on the strong beats. Is it in 2 time or 3 time?
It is in 2 time. And here are some answering tips for candidates. Firstly, we have to understand the difference between pulse and rhythm. Pulse is constant and steady, whereas rhythm changes depending on the note values. The examiner will give a clear emphasis on the strong beat, which is the first beat. And from there, we have to figure out if it is in 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, or in 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In 2, it's more march-like, and in 3, it sounds more dance-like. For the last bar, continue to clap a full bar in 2 or 3 even though you hear a long note. And here are some teaching strategies for teachers. You can introduce steady pulse involving physical movement, for example, walking and bouncing a ball. Or you can use a metronome and have the student to tap or clap the steady pulse while listening to a piece or a teacher playing a piece of music. You can also use students' exam piece as example, something they are more familiar with. Or you can sing some well-known tunes and clapping the pulse at the same time. Lastly, try a lot of exercises because practice makes perfect. The next test, 1B, will be on singing echoes. The instruction will be: next, I'd like you to sing 3 phrases as echoes. Here is the key chord and your starting note. Then the examiner count in 2 bars and start to play the phrase. The phrases will be 2 bars long, either in 2/4 or 3/4 time. it will be in the major key within the range of tonic to median, which is Do, Re, Mi. Candidates have to sing back the echo without pause right after examiner plays. The pause should be continuous. Now I'll play an example for test 1B.
Next, I'd like you to sing 3 phrases as echoes. Here is the key chord. And your starting note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
In this test, the examiner is looking for a candidate to sing in pitch rather than vocal quality. Singing, humming, or whistling are all acceptable. You can sing in any vowels, a, e, o, u, or any syllable. Now I'll play the test again with the correct response.
Next, I'd like you to sing 3 phrases as echoes. Here is the key chord. And your starting note. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. And these are some answering tips for the candidates. Firstly, you have to memorize the right tune and rhythm. You can maintain the pause by tapping or clapping when the examiner starts counting in. Sing the echo right after 2 bars of the melody. Do not start early or delay. And here are some teaching hints for teachers. The teacher can sing the phrase and let the student echoes, because this will be easier to follow than the pitch played on the piano. You can use the hand gesture low and high to help memorizing the phrase. You can also turn on the metronome while doing exercises. You can also just do 1 phrase and gradually increase to 2 phrases and eventually 3 phrases. And lastly, teacher can demonstrate the example so the student have an expectation on how the answers should be. And let's move on to test 1C on the differences. The instruction will be, now I'll play a phrase twice, but with a change to one of the notes the second time. Tell me whether the change was near the beginning or near the end. Here is the key chord and the tonic. Then examiner will count in 2 bars and play the phrase for the first time. And now with the change. An examiner played the altered phrase without counting in. Was the change near the beginning or near the end? So the candidate should locate the difference in pitch occur near the beginning or near the end. The phrase will be 2 bars long and in the major key. Here is an example of test 1C.
Now I'll play a phrase twice, but with a change to one of the notes the second time. Tell me whether the change was near the beginning or near the end. Here is the key chord. And the tonic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And now with the change. Was the change near the beginning or near the end?
For this test, the candidate should identify the spot where a difference occurs, whether it's near the beginning or near the end. The change will affect only one of the notes, which is a pitch change. A second attempt is possible but will be taken into account when giving marks. The answer for the test earlier is near the end. On to the answering tips for students. You can pay close attention when listening to the phrases. Raise hand when you hear the change occur to identify the correct answer if it was near the beginning or near the end. You can also gently hum along to spot the difference. Now for the teaching hints, you can use the music that the student is familiar with, for example some well-known tunes or their exam pieces. You can start with only one bar that consists 3 to 4 notes and have the student spot the difference, and slowly extend it to a longer phrase which is 2 bar. You can have the student to sing out the phrases and be aware of the pitch changes. You can also introduce a rhythm change to prepare students for the upcoming grades. Finally, test 1D on the musical features. The instruction will be, listen to this piece, then I'll ask you about loud or quiet playing and about smooth or detached notes. After the playing, examiner will ask one question at a time about dynamics and articulation. So, the candidate has to listen to a piece and answer questions about dynamics and articulation. The simple terms such as loud, quiet, smooth, or detached will be used by the examiner. No Italian terms will be used. But candidates can always use the Italian terms should they feel more comfortable with it. Let's listen to an example of test 1D.
Listen to this piece. Then I'll ask you about loud or quiet playing and about smooth or detached notes. Did the music become quieter suddenly or gradually? At the start, were the notes smooth or detached?
When listening, pay attention to the dynamics and articulation at different sections of the music. A second attempt is possible but will be taken into account. The answer for earlier tests is, the dynamic change happened suddenly and the music was detached. And here are some answering tips for the students. For the dynamics, there are 2 kinds of questions, which is the loud and soft in different sections, so pay attention to the dynamics level at different sections of the music. And the next question could be the changes, which is sudden or gradual. Gradual, it could be getting louder or softer. The kind of questions that will be asked are, did the music begin loudly or quietly? Did it end loudly or quietly? Which was louder, the beginning or the end? Did the change from quiet to loud playing happen suddenly or gradually? And next will be the articulation, which is smooth or detached notes, legato or staccato. The music may contain both kinds of articulation, so pay attention to the articulation in different sections of the music. So some sample questions are, was the beginning played with smooth or detached notes? When the music was quiet, were the notes played smoothly or were they detached? Were the notes mainly smooth or detached? Were the notes smoother at the beginning or at the end? Moving on to the teaching hints. When playing the exam pieces, have the student observe the dynamics and articulation printed and be aware of these differences. Experiment with different dynamics and articulation and hear their differences. You can use physical movement to distinguish between the dynamics and articulation. For instance, when the music is soft, shrink the body. When it's loud, stretch your body out. When it's legato, make smooth hand movements, and staccato, jumping. In the exam, candidate will stand beside the piano where the piano keyboard cannot be seen, and candidates should face the examiner. No book or instrument is needed during the test. ABRSM has published useful materials that can help candidates prepare for the oral test. For example, books, Specimen Aural Test, and Oral Training in Practice. An app called ABRSM Oral Trainer. There is a paid and a free light version. You can also find mock oral tests on ABRSM website. And upcoming on our channel, a sample oral test video. The links to the above materials can be found from link in description. Many students wonder if there is a standard answer for the oral test. There is a definitive answer for test C and test D. But for test A, pause and meter, there is a correct answer, but maybe the candidate would get the clapping wrong. For test B, the echoing, the accuracy on pitch and pause can only be judged by a trained musician. It could be the teacher or examiner. In the exam, the examiner will not provide answers, as in they will not tell you if you answer it correctly or wrongly. Besides answering correctly, candidates should also speak clearly and confidently. This video only provides guidance and walkthrough, but a training should be done with a qualified teacher in order to know if you are doing the test correctly. This is the marking criteria of oral tests. You can find this from the link in the description as well. Please note the candidate's responding time and confidence level, if second attempt was needed in any part of the test, will be taken in consideration in marking. Many non-native English-speaking candidates are worried about the spoken response part. The candidate is permitted to bring an interpreter into the exam room. But from my personal experience, the candidates do not need a perfect command of English for the spoken response part. The examiner will say the same instructions at the beginning of each test, just like in this video. So you can just give some simple answers and keywords confidently, and it will be sufficient. Can the test be done on your instrument for non-pianists? No, the oral tests are only delivered using piano by examiner. You can utilize the practice materials by ABRSM to familiarize with the procedure. Teachers are strongly encouraged to adapt the test on candidates' respective instruments to give them a better understanding. You can find the PDF version of this video as well as all the documents mentioned in the video in the link in the description box. Like and drop us a comment if you've got questions or if you find this video helpful. Subscribe to our channel for more contents like this. All information is correct by the date of publication. In the event of any discrepancies or inconsistency, ABRSM's information shall prevail. Now, thanks for watching until the end of the video. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. See you next time.